Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Learning from the Pros. Joining me today is Sam Dunning. He is the founder of Breaking B2B, and he's going to be sharing his 10 tips around SEO and how to rank for competitive terms. Welcome, Sam.
Hey Silvio, thanks for having me on, man. Looking forward to getting stuck in.
I'm pumped. I am not an SEO expert by any means, so selfishly, this like episode and the knowledge that you're going to share, I always take notes, but I'm going to be taking notes extra diligently in this episode. Why don't you just give everyone some quick intro on yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'm founder at a company called Breaking B2B, and basically B2B or SaaS companies come to us if they're tired or a bit frustrated or a bit annoyed that every time they search on Google for their offer, problems they fix, or folks compare them to alternatives, they see competitors above them in organic search results, so stealing traffic, mindshare, inbound leads, and demos. We fixed that with a bit of an unusual approach to SEO and content marketing with a revenue-driven approach as opposed to vanity metrics. And I also host a podcast called Breaking B2B, a bit like this, where we interview practitioners in B2B to share what's working today, or solo episodes around unusual B2B marketing topics.
Nice. Amazing. So why don't you kick us off with your first tip?
Let's go. Let's get stuck in. So this is going to be a bit of a roadmap that B2B tech or SaaS companies can follow to take a revenue or product-driven approach with their SEO to drive inbounds. So first things first is defining topics, defining keywords that are actually going to drive revenue. So many folks, when it comes to SEO, it just doesn't get given the love it deserves. And there's a number of reasons right around that. And a lot of the times it's because marketing teams are just overworked. And most tech and SaaS marketing teams are quite small, especially in the startup world or the scale up world. You've got a team of 2 or 3 or less, and they've usually got 100 jobs or so on their plate to do for that week. One of the exec team, the CMO or the CRO might say, competitors are constantly above us in organic search. We need to start doing some SEO. And then they speak to their marketer like, let's do some SEO. And then the marketer's like, I've got 1,000 other jobs for the week, but sure, let's do some SEO. So they'll do the usual thing, right? They'll go to H or SEMrush or Ubersuggest. They'll look for a high volume keyword that's relatively easy to rank, relatively low keyword difficulty in their space, like how to do X or what is Y or that kind of stuff. And then they'll put that keyword with a bit of context into an AI tool like ChatGPT, get an article, make a couple tweaks, chuck it on their blog, hit publish, forget about it, and get back to the rest of their jobs. And theoretically, they've ticked off their SEO exercise, right? And then a couple months might go past. The exec will come back to them and say, hey, Steve, or hey, Jess, how did the SEO exercise go? And they'll be like, great, did what you told me to. I did a bit of SEO, quote unquote. And they'll be like, cool, how many leads did we get? And they'll say, none. You didn't ask us to drive leads from SEO. You just said, do SEO. I did some SEO.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes wrong. So folks kind of treat it as a tick box exercise rather than doing it in a strategic approach. So the first step is defining money keywords. What do I mean by that? I mean, what is a prospect? What is a dream client going to search on Google when they are pretty much ready to speak to a salesperson around your offer, or they might be ready to take a sign up, a demo, or similar. And usually those are bucketed into a few options, right? It could be someone that's searching around your category in your offer, your niche. It could be someone that's searching for category plus the niche you serve. It could be someone that's searching for a problem that you fix specifically, or it could be someone that's maybe comparing you to alternative solutions in the market. You're probably quite familiar with some of these strategies, Silvio, being a paid media expert.
Yep.
One of the simplest ways that I've found to do this, I'm a simple guy, so a lot of the tips I give are simple, is to quite literally fire up a Google sheet or Excel sheet or similar and make a few columns. The first column would be listing the main offers that you actually want to sell. So your high ticket offerings or solutions or pieces of software. The second will be the niches that you serve, the industries you serve best, i.e. those industries that have the expensive problem you solve, appreciate the impact that that problem has on their business. They're motivated to fix the problem that you solve. And most importantly, they've got cash to invest in the offer. So investing in it is not a hard decision for them. They've got the revenue flow to make it happen. That's the second column. The third column, I would do a list of all your main competitors in your industry. So the competitors, 3, 4, 5 competitors, always come up on sales calls, demos, etc. You know the ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is the specific problems that you solve for what we call jobs to be done. What are the ways that folks get the job that you solve or the problem you solve done in-house until they get so infuriated, so frustrated, so annoyed that they want to look at a new, better way of getting the job done? And if you sell CRM software, usually that's cobbled together, Google Sheets or that kind of stuff, some kind of internal process, something like that. What I'll do is I'll go through an example of each one. So I do this exercise so we can make what's called long tail keywords that folks are going to search on Google organically to be in a position to buy our stuff. So an example I often use is in the calendar software scheduling world. You might have heard of companies like Calendly, Chili Piper, Revenue Hero, HubSpot Meetings. Those are like the top 4. There's a few more. So if we pretend that we're selling that software, if we go back to our first offer, so our main offer is calendar scheduling software. That can be bucketed into a few different ways and phrases. So long tail keywords for that could be best calendar scheduling software, best calendar scheduling tools, best calendar scheduling platform, that kind of stuff. Those would be long tail keywords, but those would be quite competitive. Those will yield a decent amount of search volume. And someone that's typing in on Google best calendar scheduling software isn't doing it for fun. They're doing it because they probably want to evaluate solutions and book a demo or get a free sign up or trial of that offer. Now, if we want to go, those keywords we'll talk about in a bit more detail in a bit. They're quite difficult to rank for. If we want to go a bit more niche, we'll leverage the industries and niches that we serve well. So we could look at terms that are a bit more longer tail. So they've got more words in the keyword, like calendar scheduling for recruitment teams, or calendar scheduling for sales teams, or best calendar scheduling for sales, or best calendar scheduling for HR team, or best software for calendars for HR team. That kind of stuff. So basically offer plus niche. Those are good. And then the other that's especially good in the software route is going for competitor-based keywords. So you probably know this already if you're tuning in. When folks evaluate B2B services, B2B softwares, etc., they tend to make a short list of 3, 4, 5 vendors that they'll then discuss internally on meetings, on Slack, what have you. So if you can come up on Google search when someone's on the fence, i.e. they're evaluating software, but they're not sure who they're going to go for. And if they're searching, in this case, this example, like Calendly alternatives or Chili Piper alternatives or Chili Piper pricing or Chili Piper reviews, then that's quite a high intent search. Again, someone's not doing that for fun. They're genuinely wanting to see what other options are similar on the market, or maybe they're a bit annoyed with their current provider and they want to see what else is out there. It's a great way to position yourself as a differentiator and how you stand out. Yeah. And then the last one in that bucket is, this is quite a big point one, is how-to based searches, but not just simple how-to or what is a KPI or how to write a blog or something like that that's got tons of search volume but isn't that specific. We want to take those specific ways that someone is doing something in-house when they're getting infuriated and annoyed. It's costing them revenue churn. It's costing them perhaps staff members leaving. It's costing them a bunch of hours wasted each week. So let's pretend you offer the calendar scheduling, like how to link calendars between Google Docs or Gmail and Google Calendar, something like that. So something that someone's trying to cobble together in-house but doesn't quite know that there's a solution. And that's where you can position your offer as a painkiller in a useful article. So those are the 4 buckets. That's stage 1. And then once you've go ahead.
So just to recap, because I feel like that could be a course right there that you just unpacked. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out our money keywords, which are keywords that have a very high propensity to lead to a revenue outcome, right? So somebody's actually searching for something, they have intent. And then basically what you're walking us through, Sam, and this is kind of how I'm interpreting it, is we're creating a matrix. So we're creating a matrix to basically identify these money keywords. So we're listing out our offers. We're listing out the niches that are qualified to purchase those offers, the competitors, and then the jobs to be done. So then from those different buckets, now you're able to basically create, a whole bunch of different long tail keywords that you can then move forward with your strategy in terms of the type of content you're going to prioritize.
Nailed it.
An accurate representation?
Nailed it. And the best folks that are most qualified to do that exercise, if you're the founder you have sales calls and customer success calls all the time. If you are part of the marketing team, then you might want to involve your sales team or a sales leader. You might want to involve a marketing leader. You might want to involve a RevOps leader. So then they can actually equip you with some of this intel to best fill those buckets that we're building out on that Google Sheet, Excel sheet of all those opportunities. And then, as you quite rightly said, Silvio, seeing what long tail keywords make sense from those, running them through Hrefs or SEMrush to see if they've got a bit of search volume. But one thing I would say is a lot of these will have super low search volume, which is good because we don't want to attract tons of folks. We want to attract the right folks that are specifically looking for offer. So don't necessarily be put off by low search volume because there's going to be a lot higher buying intent behind these keywords.
Mm-hmm. I have a question on that search volume, like even our experience at AdConversion. So we made the decision earlier this year to really focus on SEO because in our case, our vision is to become the go-to destination in the world to learn how to run ads. So our website itself must become a resource. It must become valuable. And like our long tail vision is like, we want to become like the new PPC hero or the new WordPress, right? But even better, because like now we have like strategic courses that are free and educational blogs and content and really create like this go-to place. So literally starting from scratch, like, bare minimum basics, etc. When I originally was going through the process of figuring out keyword research and going through that, I did not start with what you're saying around high intent money keywords. Like I kind of got caught up with more informational keywords, it's weird for us because like we sell courses. Or we sell courses, they're free. We give away courses. And for us, it's like somebody researching something on Google Ads content. It could really like result in a new student sign up, but it's not necessarily like somebody searching Google Ads course, which would be the money keyword in that instance, right? And somebody's actually searching for that and we would show up. And I always kind of felt like I couldn't create content on the types of things I wanted to create content for because it was either too difficult in terms of like search difficulty with like ranking domains, or there was no volume. And like that, I'm like, okay, like what am I going to do here? Which for us, that's why like we actually focus more on YouTube. And then we see Google search is like a nice extra, because at least on YouTube there is volume and we can rank,
Yeah.
So that's kind of been our experience so far and like how we've thought about it. So the low volume, I think, is a big one for people.
It's a great point. And I suppose the other thing to consider is I'm probably looking at although you do have an agency wing to your business, so there is probably another way you could hit it. So because your platform, I suppose, brings people in from the educational sense initially, those more educational keywords that sometimes will be higher traffic, but easier to rank for, so lower keyword difficulty, do make sense. But then something we'll talk about in a minute anyway is making sure those have a product focus. So they're not just like walls of text article, like how to 10,000 words. I've landed on the page. All I see is a wall of text. I'm bouncing instantly because it looks like terrible.
Yeah.
We need to weave in the product, in your case, YouTube videos, make it visual, make it interactive. But we can chat about that.
So that's a good segue to tip number 2.
Yeah. So let's pretend we've done our exhaustive list and we've built out the long tail keywords that we want to rank for because we think they're going to have some commercial intent and drive some leads, demos, or signups or sales, whatever our call to action or conversion point is. The next thing we want to do, another fairly straightforward tip, is literally go to Google search and type in those keywords. So for example, if we put, I don't know, chili piper alternative as one of them, then what probably will come up is underneath the paid ads, the top 3 organic will be things like the top 10 chili piper alternatives to consider in 2024. That's usually for those kind of keywords, what ranks well is what's called a product listicle. And that is an article, typically top 10, top 20, top 15. And usually how those are formatted is they position the offer as number 1. So in this case, if it was chili piper alternatives, it might be a company like Revenue Hero or Calendly or HubSpot Meetings building out the article. Some companies get these wrong as they basically put themselves as number 1, but then just chuck out a load of features and talk about how great they are. I would encourage you, if you're building out a product listicle like these, to think about what differentiates you in the marketplace, why prospects go with you on sales calls, why they choose you to alternatives, maybe weave in a comparison table with you against your biggest competitor and share kind of problems you fix, why folks choose you, all that good stuff. And then weave in a bit of social proof or maybe a nice review video of why someone chose you or why someone switched from you, from that competitor to you. And then a nice call to action to sign up or book a demo. And then, yes, you need the 9 or so competitors that you want below. And you do need to give a fair comparison of those that's going to be unbiased. You don't want to start slating or dissing your competitors because that's going to end you in a legal battle that you don't want. A lot of SaaS, a lot of tech, a lot of B2B companies do not like this practice, to be fair. The sad thing is it's one of those necessary evils to rank for some of these search terms. You almost have to do it unless you've got a website with such high domain authority and in the marketplace, like HubSpot, for instance, where you can pretty much publish anything and rank. But very few of us are in that situation, right? So that's one example. That's like when a product listicle or comparison page ranks. But another one that you might want to rank for, let's say it was a how-to based keyword. And I should probably mention, if you're trying to rank for, if we go back to our calendar scheduling examples, if you're trying to rank for keywords like best X software, like best calendar scheduling software, product listicles, again, similar stuff. They tend to rank quite well for those, like top 10 calendar scheduling tools for 2024. Again, tends to be those. Sometimes it's landing pages, but not always. But if we go to our jobs to be done articles, we can talk about a framework for those as well. So usually the point I'm getting at is you want to review what's ranking, top 3 organic, assess the search intent. Is it an article? Is it a product listicle? Is it a landing page? Is it a versus page? What kind of page is the most common in organic search results, page 1, so that I know what type of page I need to build? And how can I blow that page out of the water? How can I make my page more useful, more helpful, more trustworthy? Google have a framework called EEAT, Experience, Expertise, Authority, Trust. They're looking for you to show that you know your shit basically in that sector, and likewise that you're going to be more helpful to the prospect. But at the same time, we're not doing this for free. We want to actually drive action from it. So in the case of a how-to article that we touched on just now, then we usually, a good framework for those is like, we know you're facing this problem. This is likely the impact of the problem. Here's one way you could do it if you carry on doing it in-house. Alternatively, our solution is going to, I don't like the word 10x, but 10x your productivity, or fix your churn, or fix your revenue leak, or speed up time delays, or whatever that is. And then in articles, like I talked about earlier, so many, you can rank with articles with all of text, but what's the point? A lot of companies are scared to feature their product in these articles, but if you don't, like, how are folks going to know how it works?
There's a concept. It's like you have to connect the dots for people, you know? So if you're going to create a how-to piece of content, you have to connect the dot to your product, right? If you're going to create a listicle, it's a little bit more straightforward, but you have to connect the dot to your product. So it's kind of having that frame in mind. I like the EAT framework from Google. It's good. The one mantra like I have for myself and my team in terms of like the content we create is we say to ourselves is like, how can we create content that's so good that it gets bookmarked? And that's kind of like the frame we use. So it's like, yeah, we want to rank, of course, like that's like a given, but it's like taking it a step further, like how can we make it so good that people actually want to bookmark it and come back to it in the future? And that's kind of like it's a good way to think about it, like to give yourself like a 10x mindset of, okay, whatever their listicle is, where are the gaps and how can I 10x it?
Exactly. And it does feel like even today, folks are in articles scared to put screenshots of their product, or like you said, link it back to product or offer or service, or weave in a YouTube video, for example. And you've probably found the same. If you can weave in a relevant YouTube video into your article, your landing page, whatever it may be, it seems to be an SEO hack still right now. Like, if you can get a relevant YouTube video on that topic specifically, it seems to improve your organic results. It can actually have a little image. So in the organic search results, you can get a little image next to your ranking. So it improves your click-through rates. Plus, you can show up in the video section itself. So you get almost a chance at getting 4 organic rankings in the search engine result page, which is crazy. So it's a really good little tip.
Yeah,
But
it's a big one. That's like what we've been doubling down on is like every piece of content we make a video for it, you know. And some of our
nice.
videos that I've done are so simple. It's like me going through the blog and
Okay.
not covering the tips covered in the blog, and then just doing it in a video, you know. And it does well, you know. And yeah, to your point, like now you from the video snippet, you have it makes the original article better,
Mm.
and it increases the watch time on the page, which is really good.
Yeah. I've had pushback from folks saying like, why would I put other media on my pages? Like it's going to send them to YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm usually like, brilliant. They're going to consume more of your content and get
Yeah,
into your ecosystem. They can trust you more. It adds another layer of trust because they're seeing someone behind the camera, and then you can even potentially retarget them on other channels. So that it's only really a win-win. So I
totally.
completely agree.
So we identified our money keywords, and then we went to Google and we searched those money keywords to understand what's already ranking, what are our competitors doing. So now we have like an understanding of, okay, if we see listicles are ranking, we should do listicles, but just do it 10 times better, right? And like identify the gaps.
Yeah, exactly. Or if it was a landing page, then we might say, look, we're going to weave in a relevant YouTube video. We're going to do a much more comprehensive FAQ section at the bottom and leverage real questions that we get on sales calls that are tough. Like, for
Mhm.
example, so many agencies, you go to the FAQ section on their service pages and it's like, what is SEO? What is Google Ads? It's like, my 4-year-old could answer that. I'm going to put questions like, do you guys promise results? Why are you so expensive compared to the other opportunities? Why should I choose you? Do you have a refund policy? Do I get an
Mhm.
account manager? How does the process work? Like, leverage the juicy, crispy, tough to ask questions because that's going to speed up your sales cycles and help with SEO. And that can apply to SaaS, service, technology. Answer the hard questions. That's going to drive more inbounds and build more trust.
Are you ever changing the content framework? So like maybe you notice it's a landing page or a listicle, and then now you're gonna do something completely different, or are you always piggybacking off what you see as ranking and then just doing it better?
I have done it before, so I have kind of tried to give myself an uphill battle by ranking landing pages just because I wanted to instead of listicles. It can be done, and we can talk about how you can do that. You just usually it'll be for a more competitive keyword that's probably got some decent commercial intent, and I might think, oh, a landing page might be nicer to rank here, but as a result, you're probably going to need to build some decent backlinks to that page
Got it.
in order
Okay.
to rank well. But we can talk about that in a second.
All right,
Um,
let's go to tip number 3.
Yeah, we've pretty much covered it, to be fair. Tip 3 is build a best-in-class
Okay.
page that blows the competition out of the water. And most of that is analyze the gaps in what's ranking now, work out what's ranking now, is what type of page is it, assess gaps like, can I add a YouTube video, can I add a more comprehensive FAQ section, can I add a more in-depth listicle, can I add more engaging visuals, can I weave in my product, can I add a relevant call to action based on the funnel stage? If it's a how-to article, we might link to a lead magnet or YouTube video, etc. If it's a how-to top funnel article, we're probably not going to force a demo down their neck. Whereas if they're comparing alternatives, then by all means, let's guide them to a demo, understand where the prospect is. So that kind of stuff. Number 4 is most technical SEO in B2B and SaaS is BS. So many agencies spend months and months and months building out SEO audits for these SaaS websites that have got like 50 pages. Like, what's the point? What you'll find is most B2B SaaS sites in general don't need a ton of technical SEO to win. And this is probably something you're going to see, Silvio, as you build out your website and SEO program, that unless you've got like an e-commerce site or an enterprise site with thousands of pages, technical SEO in most cases is a waste of time, and you're much better following this framework that I'm sharing, but with
Mhm.
a bias to publishing content at speed and at scale. And that's how you're going to beat giant competitors in your industry in SEO. When I say technical SEO, I'm not saying do zero, because you need to do the basics, and that really is the basics. So it's like if we were trying to rank, for example, if we go back to our example, like best calendar scheduling software, then our URL would be for that page that we're building, like yourdomain.com/best hyphen calendar hyphen scheduling hyphen software. And then
Mhm.
in your H1, your heading tag on the page, that would weave in that keyword. In your meta title and description, it would weave in that keyword. And then you're naturally going to weave in the keyword throughout the content. The only other thing you need to consider is, yes, have a nice UX, have a clear menu nav, have a solid design and UI on mobile and PC. within your page, have some internal links to relevant topics throughout your website, and have some other pages linking to you. So maybe you've got some top funnel informational articles that then link back to that offer page. That's pretty much it. Doesn't need to be
Yeah,
too much more
that's
complex than
that's
that,
a good
really.
relief too, because I mean, I know my experience, like when I started getting into SEO, I started looking into Screaming Frog and, pulling these exports through there and like kind of trying to figure out all the different components of technical SEO. And it's a good thing to hear. It's like, hey, which makes sense in context, right? Like unless you have like a massive site, got a lot of things going on, then the chances are, for the most part, you're okay with like the basics, right? Meta title, description, and tags and whatnot. Do you
Yeah.
have been like, in your experience, is there like a point where, I guess, what are the signs of like, okay, maybe technical SEO is hurting us here, and we actually should start to look into it a little bit more?
Yeah. I'd say if you're getting to this point where your site's been around for some time, you've got thousands of pages, you're noticing that maybe traffic's declining on pages that were historically performing well, or folks are bouncing a lot on certain pages that maybe have commercial value, page load speeds are poor, maybe navigation's poor, and that kind of stuff, then you probably want to evaluate it, which for a lot of B2B SaaS, kind of in the startup and mid-market world, probably not so relevant as you move, unless your brand's been around a long time, or you're more enterprise-led, or you are just an unusual site that's got tens of thousands of pages. Then yeah, you're going to want to evaluate this stuff properly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we found most B2B SaaS websites are the opposite. They're very light on content, and yeah, most of them just need to follow a framework similar to mine or build their own framework out.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. So most technical SEO for B2B SaaS is BS, focus on the basics. And now moving on to number 5.
Yeah. So we've kind of given a little bit of a framework for kind of seeding out what topics, what keywords we should target, and what kind of content we should create to match that search intent and start ranking. Now, as we touched on, some of these topics, some of these keywords are going to have giant competitors that have been in the game for ages. They might have had tons of digital PR behind them. They might have super high domain authority or domain rating. And the only way to rank some of these competitive pages for some of these juicy commercial keywords is to build backlinks to them. And I think some folks, everyone has opinions, I think, around backlinks. And the truth is, some people buy them, some people earn them, some people trade them, some people steal them. So there's a bunch of ways that you can earn links. One of my favorite ways at the moment is if you've got a website that's been around for a little while and you've got a founder or someone on your exec team that's done some past press or similar, is to grab their, copy and paste their LinkedIn page, their LinkedIn URL, their profile, paste that into Hrefs or SEMrush, whatever tools you use, and then go click the backlinks tab. And you can see all the companies that have linked to their LinkedIn page or their LinkedIn profile, sorry. Or likewise, you can do the same with your main website, which is a bit more obvious. And then look at all those niche relevant sites that are related to your industry that have previously perhaps just, maybe they asked for a snippet from your founder, or they interviewed him, or he attended a conference or whatever, and he did a talk or she did a talk. Reach out to those folks and just say, hey, thanks very much for featuring us a while back. I was wondering if you could kind of swap this link in for our website page that we're focusing on right now for one of those topic relevant keywords that you're focusing on, and just ask to switch that link. And
this tip is so fire. I saw your post about this on LinkedIn. You had a post about this recently, or it was a comment or something, but I saw you talk about this on LinkedIn somewhere. And I was just like, it's genius. And I put my LinkedIn profile URL in SEMrush, and I looked at the amount of backlinks pointing at my LinkedIn. And I noticed, over the years, I've done different podcasts, stuff like that. And I've you forget like what you've been a part of. And I realized like, oh, I did something with Cognizant in the past. I did something with Dream Data.
Nice.
I did something with Hockey Stack. I did something with like different brands that have like decent domain authority. I did something with DataBox. They have like,
so your domain rating went up overnight by like 10 points.
We went from like 18 to 22 right now, and that was like recent. I just made the change, and like Dream Data and Cognizant already pointed back to me, and now I'm waiting for like a couple other ones. And that was like such a quick, easy tip, and I didn't really get any pushback on it either. Like they were all like, yeah,
beautiful.
Like
So,
for sure.
So I'm about to give you one that's going to give you even more. Now you've done that, the next thing you need to do is something a bit more proactive. So there's an awesome website, in my opinion, called Listen Notes. You might have seen it
Listen
before.
Notes.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
No, I've never heard of it.
This is a really cool podcasting search engine. Go to listennotes.com. I think it's listennotes.com, or just type Listen Notes on Google. Type in your niche, SaaS marketing, your paid ads, B2B paid ads. Someone else might be HR, someone else might be recruitment, someone else might be sales enablement. Whatever your niche is, who do you sell to? Type it in. You're going to then filter it by top podcasts. It literally will then bring up the top podcasts in your niche, like top 10%, top 5%, top 2.5%. You can click into each show, check they're active. You can see the host. Then, once you found out the host, make a list. Again, simple Google Sheet, however you want to do it. Build these out. Look who hosts the show. Find them on LinkedIn if they're on the B2B. If not, probably on another platform. But we're B2B, so we stay LinkedIn. And hit their profile. Send them a painfully short, personalized message. Like a message that's going to make them think, this is super short, this is weird, like what the heck is this person on about? So I usually say something like, let's pretend I've typed in my niche, which is like B2B marketing or SaaS marketing. I found a top 5% show and I want a guest on it. I'll say something like, hey Jess, enjoyed your recent episode on X, had an unusual idea for your show. Are you against a conversation? ? Something like that. She's like, unusual, like who's Sam Dunning and what the hell does he want? She accepts my request and I send her a loom. So it takes some time. So I'll then go to her podcast website or wherever she is. I'll make a 3-minute loom and I'll give her a specific idea for her podcast on what I could talk about and why I think it'd be useful for the audience and what the audience will get out of it. And then I'll basically ask if she's up for discussing it, like having me on the show. That's quite a good response rate. Not everyone will accept you naturally, but you can maybe get I don't know, 20% or so hit rate on this. And just by making a loom video, you stand out from the noise. And the reason this links back to SEO is because, and you might do it for your founder. Like if you're on the marketing team, then you might do this for your founder or your exec team. And I recommend maybe doing 5 to 10 of these outreaches a week. And it's basically a 3-in-1 because you get in front of a new audience that is specifically interested in your offer. You share value. You basically get free PR. They'll probably publish it to LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast. So you get potential inbound leads. Plus, you can ask them when they publish it to their website to give you a link back to one of your focus keywords, one of your focus pages. And if you're doing it to well-established websites in your niche, that's like super good boost for your domain. So I did this when I launched my website, Breaking B2B, because I wanted to rank some competitive pages when we launched. Literally just guested on as many niche relevant shows. I still do. It's like really good for earning links and getting inbounds and building trust and building your audience and hijacking other people's audience.
That's awesome. I love this. Yeah, we're totally going to put that into practice. I will keep you posted on the updates on that. One very noob question for myself and maybe for others listening to this. Does it make a difference if somebody links back to your general, like just homepage or a specific article?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's still okay. Like it's still fine to link to the general site, the homepage, the landing page. That's still fine. If there was a specific page or keyword that you were trying to ramp up, then you might ask them to do the anchor link to that page as a do follow link, because that's one you're specifically trying to boost. Whereas if they say, no, we're just going to give you a homepage link, I mean, I'll still take it.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right. I think we've already I think this has already been a masterclass and we still have 4 tips left. And I know we're coming up on time. So let's go to tip number 6.
Yeah, let's fly through these. So number 6, we've kind of covered it a bit. So it's publishing at scale. So the way that the chances are, if you're in a known category, if you're in a sector that people know exists, so calendar scheduling software, as an example, people know that that's a tool or software, then you've probably got giant competitors, the ones that are spending tons on ads, tons on content marketing, tons on events and everything else. So, but the good thing to your advantage in most cases is that these companies move slowly. They have so much red tape. They take 2 weeks to approve a topic, another month to plan out the content, another month to do the design, another month to do the web dev, another month to publish. By the time they've published 2 or 3 pages, you could have published 30, 40, 50 pages over 3 months. So that's where you want to get a bias towards publishing content as quick as possible. So if you do the strategy we talked about where you define kind of those money keywords, you exhaust it from the bottom of funnel, weaving in some top of funnel articles as well. And if you can kind of make a cadence that's realistic for your team, whether that is a couple articles a week, slightly less, and if you can stick to that, then you will over time outrank these folks because they're going to be going slower. And
Yeah.
if you're doing the backlink strategy we talked about, and there's a load of other strategies to build links to, but if you're doing that strategy as well for more competitive pages, you will start stealing market share over time. And
There's
if you,
definitely something to that. Like it's like you need for sure you need quality that's given, but you also need quantity and you need enough of it consistently. Like for ourselves, we noticed a massive spike in the amount of like overall impressions. And then the cool thing too about SEO, it's this compounding effect. It's like the stuff we do today serves us 3 months from now, the stuff we do
yeah,
3 months from now, 6 months, and so on and so forth. And we're noticing like the number of keywords ranking in the top 20 spots like increasing, and it's this lag from these keywords from way back when we started. So
yeah, exactly. Like you said, most of the time, unless you're a super authoritative company, website, and brand, it's going to take 2 months or so, 2 to 3 months for Google to crawl your pages and for your rankings to stabilize. So if you can, you're always going to have that bit of lag. So if you can keep publishing, then you can constantly get stuff out the door and get multiple lines
do
in
you
the
have
water.
a recommendation on like cadence that you usually talk to people about?
As much as realistic, right? I mean, if you if you're a super small marketing team of one, then you might want to look to for freelancers help or contractors help or agency help, or if you can do it yourself, great, and do something that's realistic. I mean, it's whatever. It's whatever's realistic. Like if you've neglected organic search up to this date and you've relied on outbound sales or paid media or events or whatever, and there are folks actually searching for your offer on Google, then you want to do as much as you can.
Okay,
And usually that might be getting outside help or doing it internally,
gotcha.
whatever makes sense. So yeah, bit publishing at scale. And then again, this is going over a tip we talked about earlier. Number 7 is designing pages that convert. So in an article case, making them visually enjoyable. So folks can actually skim the article on their mobile or their tablet or their PC. It's got plenty of visuals of the product. Maybe it's a how-to article, but it shows like a nice GIF of the aha moment of your product. So in the calendar scheduling world, the actual place where they click the time and they get the meeting booked nicely. Or a concept called time to value that Hormozy talks about a lot. Like, how can I see like that instant value moment within a video, within a screenshot, within a GIF? Like that's really valuable. And then weaving in proof as well, like maybe customer quotes, video walkthroughs, guides, any kind of visual or live demos that a lot of SaaS companies are now weaving into their product pages, their landing pages and solution pages where relevant. Just thinking about how can we link this back to our product and have a revenue focus behind it.
That I just want to like double click on UX because I think people hear that and they're like, oh yeah, UX, whatever. But like design is a competitive advantage if you use it. Like good UX, like a beautifully aesthetic website, blog, it's a massive difference. Like we invested pretty significantly on like the UX of our site and the aesthetics of our blog. I think it looks pretty awesome. I've gotten comments from other people too saying it's awesome, so I don't think I'm biased in
It is
that sense.
nice. Your site is very nice. I agree.
But thank you. And like two things we did on the UX side that like had an actual impact on conversion was we made a sticky CTA on the right side of the screen so it follows you as you scroll down. And it's always like a CTA, in our case, linking to our courses. And then the second thing we did as well is with the table of contents. So it makes it really easy to jump around. And then there's
Nice.
share buttons underneath the table of contents as well. So like if you want to share it, you can,
Nice.
and it's super easy. And then one thing that we just rolled out now, but it's like fresh, like 48 hours at the time of this recording, is we launched an exit intent pop-up on the
Okay.
blog as well to drive to the sign up page for people that actually like went, I think it's like 75% of the way through and like they actually engage with the content. And those three things seem to be working really well. And then the
Nice.
other thing we're looking about integrating is like content upgrades in the article. So like additional CTAs in the article related to the content to now plug, in our case, like a template or a resource connected to the thing that they're learning about to get them to
Yep.
drive to action.
Very good. Very good. That is literally the framework that I share because so many B2B, so many tech, so many SaaS companies invest a lot of time, cash, or resource into their pages, landing pages, articles, but then they look shit. Like they look so basic, man.
Yeah.
Excuse my French, but if you're going to invest that resource, like you said, make it look good, make it enjoyable to read, to skim, etc. And your point was brilliant. Like there's a company called Revenue Hero that I did some consulting for a while back, and they're just like your article. Like they've got exactly the same, like a fixed CTA depending on the funnel stage of the article. Like if it's a how-to, it'll be check out our newsletter. Whereas if it's a comparison or a best of list, then it'll be kind of, are you ready to speak to sales, like book a demo, and a fixed table of contents. But I think your idea on the relevant lead magnet on the topic is very smart, or a checklist or something like that. Like there's a lot of ways that blogs can be contributing to drive signups or leads or revenue. So it's
100%. Yeah.
smart.
And like just studying other adjacent blogs outside of your industry is like something that we found really helpful because to your point, in the SaaS space, in the B2B space, there's a few people doing it right. But if you just kind of like step outside of your industry and you start to look at other blogs, other publications, like for us, we did a lot of studying around like these top PPC giants, right? Like we
Okay.
want to become the next what do you call it? WordStream or PPC Hero, or all these. So we're like, what are they doing right and what are they doing wrong? Like a lot of them, they, in our case, like they were just there first, like as search emerged. So on the UX side, they're not doing anything. Like it's like still the same as it's been since like 2012. So it's like a big opportunity versus like in other areas, like we found some really, really cool blogs in the engineering space. And like they have really cool UX and aesthetics.
Nice.
So we
That's
kind of got like
interesting.
inspiration from that. And this is kind of where you can kind of draw all that together.
That'd be a fun case study. Like just the best articles outside of B2B tech and SaaS, because so many of us in this space are
It's a good one to write
stuck
down for the
stuck in a
future for
bubble.
yourself.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun to review. Cool. So we've talked about designing the pages to work well for your prospects, which is number 7, and then number 8. Again, this is just highlighting the importance of working with your sales team if you have one, or customer success or support team, and customer research if you have some, to leverage that in those pages. So like you can rank pages using AI content, but if someone lands on a page and says, we're going to turbocharge your revenue and make you a money driving machine that's going to 10x your productivity with all our insights, it's like this was written by a robot and instant bounce. So if you can actually resonate with target prospects, with their pain points, with their goals, their motivations, their jobs to be done, etc., and pull those insights from your sales teams, from call recordings, from just getting with your sales team or support team for a beer or for a coffee or for a meal, and kind of go through some of the topics you're attacking and asking for their insights, or what comes up time and again, or what are those common objections, and then weave those into your content that you're building out for that specific page, then that's going to be very, very useful, not just for SEO, but for sales enablement, for speeding up deal cycles, and for building trust. Just good practice. Number 9, just keep improving. So if you have this bias towards publishing when it's ready rather than when it's perfect, and then you can give it 2 to 3 months for the rankings to see how they settle, and then it might be, okay, great, we got to, I don't know, organic position 5 or position 7. Let's review it again. Let's review what's number 1. Okay, we can add a few more FAQs. We can add a YouTube video on the topic. We can add some more nice images of our product and the aha moment. We can maybe add some customer quotes, maybe do a bit more of a breakdown, maybe earn a couple links, and just ramp that page up a bit and get that ranking up. And then apart from that, it's build it. Number 10 is just scale this thing up, really. So understand that SEO is something that can always be improved, even for giants in your industry, and that SEO is one piece of the puzzle in B2B. It's rare that if someone's looking for a high ticket offer or solution or service, that they'll see your website for the first time and click buy now for a 100K piece of software. They're probably going to do a fair bit of research. They're probably going to look you up on Google, compare you to alternatives, check out your LinkedIn, check out your podcast, check out your YouTube channel, speak to referrals, compare a bunch of other options, forget about it for 6 months, remember you, come back. So SEO is one piece of the B2B ecosystem, and there's lots more to it that can complement a good SEO strategy.
Yeah, this is man, I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this episode. I know you did if you've been paying attention. One quick question around content pieces is tools. So like tools is like a big opportunity, especially for like SaaS companies, in terms of like creating unique tools around problems they solve. I'm curious if where you've seen tools kind of fit in terms of ranking and like your framework.
It can be really good, actually, especially for like PLG companies. So you can, like Canva did with all their document creation tools and PDF editor tools and that kind of stuff. If you can think of an offer that almost links to the jobs to be done, like what someone's doing internally and they're getting frustrated with and struggling with. And then if you can think of a tool or free version or something like that that can hit that intent, that has a bit of traffic or search volume around it, like that's a really nice way to give someone a free tool on that page, but then kind of position your offer like, I don't know, take a sign up if you want to taste the full solution, or take a 30-day trial if it's relevant. Like, I agree with you. If you've got the resource to build those tools, they can be very, very powerful for certain products, certain PLG but motion products. They can be very, very good.
For everyone listening, we figured that out by accident, like not by being smart or anything. So we created a Google Ads budget calculator, and this is like months ago when our domain authority was like 5. And we created a Google Ads budget calculator, and we just published it, and I think I did like one LinkedIn post about it. I didn't think anything of it, and that was it. And I was like, oh, we need this calculator because like I've been like sharing my spreadsheet for so long. I was like, let's just build it into a tool. We built it and launched it, didn't think about it. Fast forward a few months, that thing is ranking by itself on position 5 on Google search.
Nice.
Like no backlinks, no nothing, it just got picked up, and now we did the same thing. We built a UTM tagger tool to basically replace the Google Ad Campaign URL builder, and we made it better where, yes, you could do a single URL, but you can also do them in bulk, and you can share your results. So we kind of like took what people love and just made it a little bit better. And we just launched that tool, and that tool is like, it's still really soon, but it's starting to like get rankings and rise through the search results. So
nice.
Yeah, if you can invest in tools, like, but I think where we failed, like now looking backwards, is we didn't start with the jobs to be done. So we can connect the dots. For us, it was more of like, oh, we should just have this tool. And then in our case, like we kind of made it work afterwards to connect the dots. But if we were more intentional about it in the beginning, I think it would have been better.
Yeah, for anyone that's not familiar with jobs to be done, just YouTube Bob Moester. I think his surname is Bob and then Moesta. He does some great interviews around the jobs to be done framework, because I'm pretty sure he created it with some other guy, and it'll basically explain like exactly how it works and the mindset and the psychology behind it, because it's very useful marketing framework.
Shameless plug, but in our B2B Advertising Foundations course taught by Brittany Blanken, she covers this in module 2 and how to use the jobs to be done framework and develop your buyer personas.
Nice. Very good.
Cool, man. I know we're at time here. I just want to do a quick recap for everyone. So in terms of ranking for your most difficult terms and how to compete in the B2B space. So number 1 is define your money keywords. These are keywords that are high intent in nature that can actually lead to some sort of meaningful conversion event. Tip number 2 was to go to Google and actually search your keywords and understand what is already ranking, and look at your competitors and kind of get a lay of the land in terms of the search engine results page, and kind of assess that search intent and what's showing up. Is it a listicle? What's the content format? Is it a listicle? Is it a landing page? Is it some sort of comparison, etc.? Tip number 3 was to build a best-in-class page that beats what you just figured out. So like Sam mentioned, you can go the route if you want to go a different content framework, but it's kind of like going up a little bit of a steeper hill. So if you want to take the easiest path to victory, just kind of take what's already working and just make it better. So figure out how can that be done, and don't sleep on UX. Tip number 4 is most technical SEO is kind of irrelevant for B2B SaaS unless you're a much more established company, you're enterprise, you have thousands of pages on your site. Tip number 5 is to build quality backlinks for $0. So take your URL, whether it's your website, your founder's LinkedIn profile URL, whoever you think is relevant, put it into a tool like SEMrush, Ahrefs, etc., and then look at the backlinks that are already pointing at it, and then reach out to those people and ask them, could you please link to my site as well? And then bonus tip on this tip was to basically put together your own PR list, right? Like go and use that tool, listnotes.com, find your niche, find the top podcasters, and then outreach to them and try to get yourself on their podcast by using a personalized approach with Loom. Tip number 6 was to publish at scale, define your own content cadence depending on your internal strengths. Tip number 7 is to design pages that convert. Really think about those different conversion principles, sticky CTA, content upgrades, and pop-ups. more useful UX, social proof, embedded product platform walkthroughs, like using tools like Novatic, things like this that can actually drive to conversion. And then tip number 8 is leverage sales and customer success when you're doing your research. Tip number 9 is to keep at it, keep improving, keep ranking. And finally, tip number 10 is to scale as you grow. And remember, it is one piece of the B2B marketing ecosystem. Sam, thank you so much. This was incredible. If people want to connect with you, find you, where can they?
Yeah, really appreciate it. So breakingb2b.com, you can grab I've actually got a playbook that shares this full process in detail. Just go breakingb2b.com, hit the newsletter. If you prefer to watch or listen, search Breaking B2B wherever you get your podcast. I ramble on about SEO and interview marketing practitioners on what's working today in B2B and SaaS. Or if LinkedIn's your thing, I'm hanging out on LinkedIn. Happy to chat and discuss further.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and helping us out here, Sam. And for everyone listening, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and we'll see you in the next one.